So I was recently reading an article in Psychology Today that I thought summed up a lot of what we talk about on this channel. Now, I'm going to go over kind of the pieces of what I read in this article, read you some of the article, and then connect it to your manifestation, creating a life that you love journey. I do kind of ask that you give me a little bit of faith here and listen through at least the majority of the video. I don't intend for this one to be very long, but I want to give you some true nuggets to consider. And at the end, I'm going to actually give you some questions that you can begin asking yourself when you're either in a spiral, like an emotional spiral, or you are trying to figure out how to stay aligned to your wish fulfilled. If you're figuring out, try to how to be like embodying your wish fulfilled, you could essentially say this video is giving you guidance to a mental diet and how to actually use your mental diet in order to start creating truly a life that you love, being able to focus on this end result. Now, if you've been listening to my podcast over the past couple weeks, I've been reading from Neville Goddard's Fundamentals, which he actually gives the 3 steps to truly like creating a life that you love, manifesting thing that you want. He says this is kind of, if he was going to sum up law of assumption, it would be into these 3 steps. Now, I've gone over 2 so far in my podcast. I'll leave a link to the first podcast episode, then you can kind of go through here, right up here, so you can listen if you'd like, if you have not already. But the things that he says you do is self observation, right? Paying attention to your current behaviors and how you're reacting. The next one is a definition of aim, so understanding where you're going. And then the third one is detachment. And this article that I'm going to connect with and read from today and kind of talk about actually aligns perfectly to that same message, which is not really surprising, right? I think we can all start to see how this connects and how you can use the way that your brain is naturally wired in order to self observe what you're doing and actually shift your mindset so that you can start paying attention to the things that you want instead of trying to deny the things that you don't want. So, hopefully, that makes sense. If you have any questions about what I'm going over today, or if for some reason you're like, I'd really like you to explain this part a little bit further, I would absolutely love to. Please leave a comment down below and let me know. I'll definitely go into some more information. And if you prefer that your question be anonymous or more private, you can always email me. It's unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendrix.com. So I'm going to read you part from the article. Then I'm going to kind of discuss how we connect this and how you can use it practically in your own life to start manifesting and creating a life that you want. And then at the end, I'm going to give you some questions that you can start asking yourself so that you can make sure that you're truly aligned to your wish fulfilled, that you're embodying the person you want to be, and truly being able to work on your mental diet. If you are new here, I am Cecilia Hendrix. I consider myself a life and mindset coach that really helps people figure out how to use emotional intelligence and emotional regulation to create a life that they truly love. It's all framed in the most important diet that we have, which is your mental diet, and the way that you're focusing and working towards your goals and the things that you want to obtain in life. I firmly believe that everyone is deserving to live the life that they really want to live, and that we all are capable of being able to step into a greater version of ourselves and truly be our best version of us. And so this channel is really designed to help you go from frustration and not understanding quite how to use it, and maybe being a little overwhelmed by all the information that's out there about law of attraction, law of assumption, personal development, personal growth, emotional intelligence, and break it down into very practical steps that you can actually apply to your own life literally today. So let's go ahead and jump in. I will stop with my little spiel and we can get going. So, the article actually says our future expectations of life are based mostly on our prior experiences. When we cultivate experiences that provide us with more empowered messages about life and our abilities, that becomes what we expect out of life. Much like a weather forecast, we can reprogram our expectations about what weather to expect from the world. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett the author of 7.5 Lessons About the Brain, which I want to caveat that I have not read the book yet. I am just being familiarized with her work in this article, and I do plan on buying the book after this, describes how our brains function to create our experience of life. Most of us believe that the brain is like a reporter. It takes in the information from our senses and uses that input to tell us what's going on in the world around us. If the brain is a reporter, it's not a particularly good one. It likes to turn in its stories before they're fact checked. You may also experience a rapid heart rate and sweaty palms. Your thoughts declare, "We're afraid." In reality, you're about to step on stage to deliver a presentation for which you're well prepared. The truth is that you're more excited than anxious. What does this have to do with overcoming adversity and learning hopefulness? When our brain tells us that life will always be like this, it's not stating a fact, it's making a prediction. Instead of being a reporter, your brain is actually a prediction machine. And this is where I want to start talking about tying this to self observation, definition of aim, and detachment. When you look at your brain as a predictor, what it is saying is that what you experienced yesterday, you are likely going to experience today, because we also have this belief that we like a confirmation bias, right? So, what we're telling our brain is truth, and what we continue to experience, the brain is going to actually seek. Now, how this ties to manifestation is that when you are constantly trying to deny what is going on around you, not through like a change in your perspective or what you're focusing on or dwelling in or the feelings that you have, but instead, when you are saying, like, no, this is not actually what's happening, or I'm just going to deny it and fall into toxic positivity, you are actually still allowing the external world to kind of shift you around, right? You are allowing what is happening to you, what you are perceiving being the facts, to continue to direct your life, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and what you truly believe. And this is how self observation comes into play. When you start observing what you're paying attention to, you'll start to actually notice the things that you're not. So let's say that you want to be totally loved, right? And you're looking for this really great relationship. And then when you start to pay attention more to your behaviors, you notice that you are constantly instead paying attention to all the ways that you're ignored, whether that's from one specific person or multiple people. And then what you kind of continue to say to yourself is, I'm always treated poorly. I'm not listened to. I don't get XYZ in my relationships. And so then your brain says, oh, okay, so that's what we're going to pay attention to. And I'm going to show you all the ways, because of my confirmation bias and because I'm predicting what's going to continue to happen, that we are going to be ignored, that we're not going to get the love and attention and affection that we're seeking. Now, sometimes what that can also cause is that you'll start directing all of your thoughts towards something that maybe deep down you know you shouldn't be. And I say shouldn't be kind of lightly. I think everybody has to have the honesty with themselves to recognize when you are chasing something you should not be, right? And when you're chasing something that does not feel right to you, it doesn't feel like you are truly connected to it. And I think sometimes one of the best questions to ask yourself is this really what I want, or have I convinced myself it's what I want over the years? Have you become so honestly obsessed with obtaining this single desire or this single person or this single thing that you have kind of become tunnel vision? Now, I don't think that this is the same as I want this or something better. Although I think that can definitely work in your life, I don't think you have to do that. If there's something very specific that you want, a specific goal, I absolutely believe that you can work towards obtaining that goal, that wish fulfilled, having that desire, living that life. But there is something to be said about being very honest with yourself about the direction that you're taking, and if it is truly what you want, or you've convinced yourself it's what you want. Is it what society is telling you that you want? Is it what your parents have told you that you want? I hear this a lot when I'm talking to people, and they say, well, I want to get into Harvard. It's like, okay, that's awesome. Explain to me a little bit more about why. Well, my parents have always told me I should go to Harvard. Okay, but that's not really the why for you, right? That's the why for them, or the why that you're accepting from them. But why do you want to do that? And then they may say, I don't actually want to. I want to, go travel to India and work on my inner peace. Okay, so then let's look at that, right? Let's be honest with ourselves about our desires. I had one client that I was working with that said, well, I really want this specific person. And we started to identify why. And the more that they talked about this person, they didn't really want that person back, not the version that they had of them or perceived of them. They wanted them to want them. They wanted them to chase them instead. They wanted them to apologize for all the ways that they felt they had done them wrong. And not to say that everybody's going to be in that position, but it's important to be honest with yourself about where you're placing your attention. Because what your brain's going to do is your brain's going to consistently put you back in the same position to have the same kind of outcome. When you look at like somebody like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who does Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and he talks a lot about that. If you wake up tomorrow with the same habits that you have today, you're going to lead the same life tomorrow that you did today, whether it was the one that you wanted or the one that you don't want. And this article is saying the exact same thing. When you have told yourself, life is never going to work out for me, I'm completely unlucky, I can't get this stuff to work, nothing is working out for me, you're going to continue to place yourself into the position to have nothing work out for you. You're going to pay attention to the ways that life does not work out for you. It's the same way I talk about it all the time here. So I'm sure that you, if you're a longtime listener, you may be like, not this study again. But they did a study that they showed people who self identify as lucky and people who self identify as unlucky. They had two completely different experiences in the same experience, right? In the same experiment. So they were given a paper and told, hey, count how many pictures are in this paper. What the unlucky people tended not to see was that the first page told you the answer. The lucky people noticed that right away. So it's because their brain is literally wired to see the opportunities that are in front of them. So when you start to manifest and you have a definition of your aim, you know what you want, and you start doing self observation to pay attention to the things that you want and to align yourself to that person, this is how you detach. You're not detaching from your desires. You're not detaching from the life that you want or pretending like you don't care. You are becoming indifferent and detaching from everything that doesn't align to that person. But I do want to caveat that's not toxic positivity. And there's a lot more behind that than I think I can put into one single video. For this one, I really want you to start paying attention to your own behaviors in alignment to your definition of aim, right? Of the thing that you want. And what I want you to start doing is start doing small tweaks to your daily habits that you have determined are in opposition of what you want. Okay. So this is what I want you to do. This is kind of your exercise that we're going to talk about. I want you to list out what it is that you actually want. Once you have that listed, I want you to identify the ways that you do not act in alignment to that. So start paying attention to your morning routine, your evening routine. Start paying attention to the way that you talk to yourself and really put these together to say, okay, how am I actually behaving here? What are the intentions that I am repeatedly setting with my thoughts, behaviors, and activities that are not in alignment to who I want to be, but instead are predicting my past continuing to happen in my future? I think this is why revision is so powerful, right? And this is connecting the scientific pieces with the total woo woo that time does not exist. It's all completely stacked. And we can actually make choices based on, or we can make choices for our present moment based on how we view our past and how we're viewing our future. The more you come into this present moment and have everything be ideal now. And actually, a friend of mine recently put it really beautifully by saying the outcome does not matter. What you are looking at now is what matters. Not to say we don't want our outcomes, right? But when you're looking at your behaviors now, what are you intending with your behaviors now? And not just the physical behaviors, but the mental behaviors. Okay. Let me know if you have questions on this because I want you to stop throughout the day, not obsessively, but just kind of ask yourself, currently in this moment, what are my behaviors, thoughts, actions, and feelings intending? So remember, an intention is just something that you're going to set into motion with your focus. You're going to intend for something to happen. You're going to intend to behave a certain kind of way. I do have a free journal that helps you align to your desires that actually walks through these steps that we're talking about right now. I'll leave the link down for that below. It essentially says, like, here's how you're going to outline what you want. Here's how you're going to identify with it. What are the values that you want to have, and how did you align to that today? So if you want that journal, grab it down below. So the next step in this is to take a look then. So now you have your behaviors and start to ask yourself questions. Now, when you're feeling overwhelmed, right? Let's say that something happens externally that upsets you. I want you to stop and ask, what do I feel? There is a technique called the name it, tame it. And when you name your emotions and what you're feeling, you take some power out of them because we are not our feelings. We are not our emotions. They are guideposts to show us what we want and where we're dwelling, right? I can tell you as a human being, my emotions used to run me wild, right? And I kind of always brushed it off of like, oh, it's hormonal. I'm a woman. They did this. They frustrated me here. I would lash out and then come back and want to apologize. I did not know anything about emotional intelligence, emotional regulation, managing my own moods, paying attention to my mental diet in accordance to the things that I wanted. And that's self observation. This is knowing what I want and starting to work towards it. My life changed completely when I actually figured out how to do mental diet through emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. And some of that is by naming what I'm feeling. What am I feeling right now? And what am I going to do with it? So if I'm feeling anger, right? One, okay, so I feel this anger. What am I going to do with it? Where would I like to direct it? And am I going to use it as a learning opportunity, or am I going to continue to dwell in the anger? And it's okay to feel anger. There's no like negative or positive emotions. They all just tell you something about yourself. It's all curiosity so that you can grow more into the person you want to be. If you don't accept the fact that you feel angry right now, how are you ever going to overcome it? And remember, you feel that way. You're not anger, right? You're not like just one big ball of anger, like you're not walking through the crowd anger. You are feeling anger. You are feeling jealousy. You are feeling despair. You are feeling upset. You are, or on the other side, right? You are feeling happy. You are feeling grateful. You are feeling joyous. So really start to question, what am I feeling and what am I going to do with it? That is one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself. One of the other ones then is, how am I currently aligned, or how am I currently embodying the person that I want to be? When you do this journal exercise and you list out understanding, these are the values, this is the way I would behave, these are the things that I would do, and here's the ways that I kind of don't behave in alignment with that. And you start to pay attention to it. Well, what could I do to embody my ideal self right now? What could I do to truly feel my wish fulfilled right now? What would it feel like, and how can I feel that? It's not a fake feeling, it's just asking. And I tell you, the more that you start asking yourself these questions, the more that your like inner version of yourself, your higher self, will start to answer you how this will feel, what you can do. You're giving your brain kind of an exercise. And the more that you do this and then spend some time paying attention to the way things are working out for you, really seeking it, and on the smallest of scales, right? Start reminding yourself, like when you take a shower, like how freaking amazing is it that we have hot water that just comes out? Like we just turn it on and there it is, and we can take a nice hot shower. That's amazing. Start to recognize that that's working for you. You get the fantastic parking spot at work. Pam, this is freaking awesome. I got the best parking spot. It doesn't have to be fake. Start to look for like small things. Somebody pays for your coffee behind you. Find $10 on the ground. Your best friend sends you like a funny Instagram reel or a funny TikTok, and you're like, man, that was really nice. They're thinking of me. I want you to start paying attention to that kind of stuff. And it sounds very, very small, but the more that you do this, back to the article, the more that your brain will start to predict that more things are going to happen good for you. The more that it predicts it, the more that you see it. The more that you see it, the better your gratitude. The more that your gratitude, the more your manifestations. So I hope that this makes sense. I hope that you got value out of it. Definitely give it a like and a subscribe if you want more of this kind of information. And leave me a comment down below if you have anything that you would like to add, discuss, question. I would absolutely love to hear from you. So I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will be back.